What's up, y'all? I am your girl Candy, and right now, to my left, I have the Jasmine Davis, and we are about to speak on it.
Love it!
I had already heard. I can turn a shade tree into a money tree.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for agreeing to do this with me.
This is awesome.
So I'm super excited to have you on my show.
Thanks
to speak on it. But I just want to make it clear that you are the first cast member that I've had to come to speak on it.
Really?
Yes. I actually talked to Jacob for another thing that we do about music called On That Note.
On that note.
And I'm sitting here with none other than Jacob.
Is that him?
Yes.
Is that him?
But you are the first person that came to sit down to speak on it.
Oh my God, you guys, I'm honored. Thank you, Candy.
So for those of you out here that are watching, Jasmine plays Imani on our show, The Shy.
Those condoms ain't mine.
I know, I put them there. That does not mean I want you to go on a college tour and act a fool. I just want you to protect yourself.
I got you.
So I hope you guys have been keeping, staying on top of all the new episodes so you kind of know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't, I'm sorry if we say anything that may be spoilers. I'm not planning on this is not an interview just about The Shy, to be clear. We're just going to talk about life. We're going to talk about yourself as an actress. And because it is Pride Month, I do want to talk about topics that will, obviously relate to Pride Month.
Exactly.
Obviously. So, anyway, how you doing?
I am amazing. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm good.
That's good.
How are you feeling so far about season 4?
If you promise to have my back on this, I'll never let you down.
We gotta stop pointing the finger at each other and start coming together, because if we don't, we'll never survive.
Whew, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So many things I didn't see that was gonna happen that's happening. I'm like, I see where it's leading now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I feel like my story in particular is starting to make more sense.
See, the thing about it is, a lot of people don't understand, like, as we are filming, it's like a lot of times we do not know what's going to happen next. They'll give us the script right before we start filming that week of filming.
We're clueless like y'all, basically.
Yeah. We're here, we're wrapping up filming for the season, although on air. So by the time you guys see this, it will be past 4, I'm sure. Okay, so check this out.
Yes.
A lot of people may or may not know. How do you refer to yourself? Do you even believe in labels, or what do you think?
I'm so grateful that you asked me that, but because before the whole pronoun thing came about, which I'm so grateful that we're starting to respect other people's identity, I just refer to myself as Jasmine Davis, Miss, Mrs., whatever. But yeah, so that's I guess my pronoun. It's funny you brought it up. When my first audition I went into, someone asked me, "What's your pronoun?" I'm like, "Huh? What's that?"
Yeah, I mean, because right now it's I think everybody in the world is learning.
Yeah.
And I constantly say this. I mean, we've been learning for the last few years. Things are constantly changing. What people used to use, different terms that people use no longer are acceptable. And not to mention there are a lot more categories as it pertains to the LGBTQ plus community.
I'm learning myself about that.
Right. It's a lot more categories. So, we're constantly...
I'm still a little confused.
I ain't gonna lie. I am too sometimes because, it's a constant education.
Totally.
And, I hate when people get so upset with some people because it's everybody just don't automatically know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so nobody ever wants to offend. I mean, I guess I'm sure there are some buttholes out there who don't care about offending or whatever. But naturally, most people's first mind is not to offend. So it's just kind of okay, what's the right, like you said, right pronouns? But even what I meant to say is, do you consider yourself to be a trans woman?
I consider myself to be a human being and just a woman. To wrap human beings' head around my existence, I would use the word trans because I know we have to wrap our head around something like how do you consider yourself a woman and you're born this way? And it's like, well, sure, if to wrap your head around that I'm living in this avatar as this feminine being, as a woman, and using a label trans help you, I'm all for it. If that helps you, understand my existence. And I don't get offended by that. And I'm glad Candy brought that that question up, because I myself, I have to get familiar with the LGBTQIA. I don't know after LGBT. I have really keep up myself. I have to educate myself. So I think it's important for us in the LGBTQ plus IA community to also understand that, like you said, a lot of people are not here to offend us. There is some a-holes out there, but I say the majority, and this is me, hoping that the world is not like that, will think that it's just, you're just not educated. You don't know. So don't be offended, And this new generation is so sensitive. And I get it, guys. I totally get it.
A lot of people are sensitive.
So sensitive, and I totally get it. And you have to have a thick skin in this world if you want to survive. So I don't think people are naturally, going to gear towards, I want to attack you and, make you feel offended. If someone is giving you a wrong pronoun, I would say quickly, correct them and explain to them and educate them. And if they're willing to be educated, then you know that this person is really not trying to offend you. And even if they are trying to offend you, you just sometimes got to realize not everybody's going to like you for who you are. And
that is true.
Not everyone's going to be respectful, and that's not how real life is.
Right, that is true. Let me ask you this question, because some of the questions that I was, getting from different people, getting ready for the interview, people have questions. But since you brought up the audition, that reminds me of a question that someone told me to ask.
Yes. Oh.
So you said on your first audition, they ask you what pronouns did you like to use.
Yes.
So the question was, did you become an actress because you were a trans woman and there was opportunity there, or were you already an actress prior?
Yes. If you research me, I was an actress prior to before coming out, and I've only played cisgender roles. I played in some C and D movies, and I played commercials. I played moms. I played recently, which was funny, a New York Life commercial. I was pregnant in it. So I was always in this industry, and I did a lot of background work coming up that no one knew about me because I purposely hid myself for obvious reasons. I wasn't ready to come out and deal with this beautiful life now, which I'm glad I finally did it. But yeah, I was an actress before coming out as trans, and like I said, I only came out as trans. It's not that I was feeling insecure with myself or that I felt like it was something bad. I just didn't want the industry to box me in and tell me what I can't do. So I just realized that in order to break down walls or to get out of the box, do me first, and then once people find out, you can't deny something I've already done.
Okay. And then, to be clear, I don't think people weren't as open-minded and as accepting, I guess, let's say a decade ago, even five years ago, as people are now. When did you first start acting?
I started acting, I would say, in 2006, 7-ish. And I went to, the artistic home here in Chicago. And then I went to Second City for a year here. And I was modeling. I started modeling, went into acting. And I did some local theater and then moved to LA. And then as soon as I moved to LA, a month after moving to LA, I was booked on my first sci-fi movie, which I don't think that movie ever came out, but I was SAG eligible, which means I was eligible to join the union. But I always thought, why would I pay $3,000 if I'm not getting booked on anything? Right. So I was SAG eligible for years. So, yeah.
So that was a long time ago. That's a major point I should have mention that Jasmine actually is born, or you were raised in Chicago.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah, but you live in LA now.
I live in Los Angeles, yes.
Yeah, so you're on the Chi, and you're actually from the Chi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So surreal.
Yeah. So the interesting thing to a lot of people, because a straight man told me to ask you this question.
Oh, yes, juicy.
And this is the typical question that I think comes up a lot.
I think I know what you're about to say, so go ahead.
Okay. He was wondering, you know, obviously you just said with acting, you did not basically disclose to anybody that you were trans, that you just, I'm a woman, I'm an actress.
Yes.
Okay, so when it came to meeting men and dating, how did you approach that subject?
Ooh, should I look at them directly and say this is...
You can.
Okay. Well, when I first decided that I was going to be brave enough to live in the avatar that I felt my heart told me to live into, I always disclose to people. But then over the years, I will see girls like me getting attacked for disclosing, you know, and people used to always say, well, why didn't they tell anyone? Well, most of the girls I knew in the day, like 99% of the girls would disclose who and what they were, and they would get attacked and killed and things of that nature. So I realized I need to hurry up and try to be as passable as I could to survive in this world. And I started getting jobs and people didn't know. I started dating guys and guys did not know. And, you know, when I had my change to complete myself as a woman, I was, you know, being told by even, you know, certain cis people, like, why would you tell anyone? You went through all of this. Why would you go tell someone, you know? And I went through my whole life up until 2018 not telling people. Eventually I told boyfriends, you know, after a while. But I noticed the privilege I had living a cisgender life. I noticed, you know, the circles. I noticed, you know, how I was treated differently. So I know instantly when I get treated differently because I know the difference in treatment. It can be scary sometimes, you know, and you're never fully yourself. So that's what I'm grateful for, that I'm able to fully live in my avatar, but actually not have to have those awkward conversations with a man, because once they fall in love, when someone fall in love with you and they want to spend the rest of their life with you, and I've been engaged 3 times.
What?
Yeah. Never
3 times?
3 times, and I never went through with it. 3 times.
Oh, 3 times. Oh, okay. Out of the 3 times, did any of them know from first meeting?
No, and I was around their friends and their family. No one knew. Like,
The family didn't know anybody.
no one. You know, you develop a skill of how to hide yourself. You know, like, you know, I don't do that anymore, but when I used to be out in public, like I used to work at the Sox Stadium. No one knew, you know, my name and everything was changed. No one had an idea of, because people, if someone found out, it would have been like, oh my God, you know. I can only imagine how many jobs I integrated. Like I was worked at the Adler Planetarium. Someone in human resource knew because I was only, I think 16 or 17 at the time, and my name wasn't changed or anything. And they just thought I was a flat-chested girl. And she knew, you know, but no one else really knew. And that's when I was like, wow, this treatment that I'm getting, I just need to go down this road because this is better than this.
Right.
You know, and I, you know, over the years I start realizing like I wasn't fully present in my relationships. How can I be fully present in my relationships? And then after I told them, the relationships were still good, but then I started realizing, okay, now that they know it's real, do I really want this relationship, or was it just, you know, I was in it because it was some type of adrenaline rush or anything?
So did you like, because I mean, a lot of us just in general, not even about our sexual identity, but a lot of people like living on the edge, and a lot of people like, you know, sneaking and creeping and all these things. So that gave it an extra.
I think so. So once they, you know, once I disclosed myself to them and they still wanted to be with me and, you know, still wanted the family, and I was not ready to step into a mother role at all. Like, oh my God, back then. Like, no. And I've dated some guys who had children, so I was a stepmom in real life, and I just wasn't ready, you know. I was still learning, as a woman, trying to develop who I am, my identity.
So, question.
Yes.
So it was just that easy? You just told them and it was like, okay. Nobody was ever upset?
I mean, they were a little upset. You know, with any relationship, you're going to naturally be upset if someone that you love, you find out something that they lied about. But it wasn't what people portrayed it to be. But to be...
It never got physical.
No, but for me, I got to be honest. I've always picked people who have a lot to lose. Most of my boyfriends came from wealthy families, or they were wealthy and they had successful careers. You know, I didn't pick some street thug or someone that didn't have anything to lose. I was smart when it comes to that. You know, it comes from my grandmother, you know, instilling that in me. If you're going to date someone, you better date someone who have something. You know, like my grandmother was, you know, she was on it. But so I think that that has a lot to play with who you date in general, of how they're going to react to certain things. When someone has privilege and they're more culturally educated on certain things, you know, they have a more broader perspective on life. Certain things probably don't make them flip out like other things. Granted, only like one of my boyfriends, we broke up for 2 weeks. You know, he was hurt, like, you should have told me, blah, blah, blah. And I was around his whole family and I felt so bad. We ended up back with each other, whatever. And,
I don't want to cut you up.
No, go ahead.
So, I mean, you were okay with saying that you made the full change to a woman earlier in the conversation.
Yes.
But when you were engaged to them or in a relationships with all three of them, had you already made that change?
Only one of them I wasn't. Only one of them.
So how did you manage to have an intimate relationship without them knowing?
There are ways. There's other options. Like I waited, and
So y'all didn't have sex?
no, we didn't have sex at all.
Oh, okay.
You know, you kiss and stuff like that, and you have intimate things. But yeah.
So you just told him you wanted to wait till marriage or something?
Yeah, I just said I wasn't ready, and I wasn't. To be fair, like, even if I was complete, then I'm not the type of girl. Don't get me wrong. I have my one night stands here and there. You know, who doesn't? I'm not about to sit here and act like I'm a saint. But just in general, I'm just not the type of girl who wants to rush sex.
Right.
I want to get to know you as a person, feel you out, because
Makes
to
sense.
me, you know, intercourse is better when you're in love and when you know that person. So
I just found it interesting that, you know, because in your mind, well, like on TV and movies, you know, guys find out it's like this, you know what I mean? They go crazy or whatever.
And it's like that for a lot of girls, but you got to think about, you know, a lot of girls are attracted to bad boys, and
That is true, but you just weren't.
no, I just don't get into the bad boy, the thug thing. It's just not attractive to me. I don't.
That
like
ain't
those
what it is on the
people.
TV show, but okay.
You know, exactly. So that's where me and Imani is totally different. You know, like in real life, I would never date someone and look twice at someone like Trig.
Don't forget, I ain't scared to die.
That's just never been me, because I'm always thinking about my future. I'm always thinking about like where I want this to go, and I always think about my safety too. And you got to think about in general, how many women get attacked? Women in general get attacked, or women get domestic violence in general. So if you don't think like that and think like, and we're getting attacked in general, whether we black, white, Asian, Hispanic, regardless. So the rate is always higher when you're a woman of color. And if you're a black woman, it's even higher. And if you're a trans woman, it's even higher. So you have to think smart when you're dating. I've always, that's the one thing that really saved me, of thinking smart when it comes to dating.
Do you feel that people that have transitioned might have a different experience with the people that they're in love with once they find out than someone that hasn't?
Totally. I've noticed you just get taken more serious, you know, when you already fully transitioned, if that's what they wanted, you know, because even the boyfriend I had that I got engaged with when I wasn't fully transitioned, you know, he wanted to get married, but he wanted me to fully transition. He was going to pay for it and everything. You know, I just feel like for me, I don't know for other people, for me, my experience I felt like I was taken more serious. And I wasn't ready.
Right.
I wasn't ready for that. I was just, you know, still stepping into this newfound womanhood that it's a journey, y'all.
So you didn't know if you wanted to.
I didn't, to be honest. I did not. I think I liked the ideal of being in relationships or being with someone, but I don't think I was really ready to be in one.
Right. No, what I'm saying is about the full transition. Did you always know you wanted to take that extra step?
Oh, totally.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, I did when I was 5.
You did?
I knew when I was 5. My dad asked me when I was 12 because he kept saying, "You're so different," because he has a gay brother, and he kept saying, "You know, I grew up around gay people." He's like, "It's something very different about you." And, you know, and I guess it took him until I got older him to figure it out. And he asked me, and I was shocked. I was like, I thought no one knew. And everyone was like, "Girl, everybody knows." Like, everyone knows, but you.
Well, it's good that your family was so supportive.
They weren't supportive. I would
they
say
weren't?
that. They were not. But to be fair, it wasn't that they weren't supportive of me. They just weren't supportive of each other in general. So it wasn't personal, you know? I didn't take it. It just wasn't personal.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Okay.
I had one of those black families, you know, and then the white side didn't mess with the black side. It was just a shit show.
We'll talk about that another
Yeah.
day. So here's the other question. And you know, obviously with this being Pride Month, and so many people are still you know, have so many questions when it comes to people who are transitioning and the whole process. I do have some friends who have gone through or are in the middle of the process. And I know some people who like basically getting almost to the end, but not necessarily doing the full transition.
I know a lot of those too.
I have heard of a lot of trans women who say they prefer to still,
Keep their male sexual organs.
yes.
Yeah, and I think it's because, from what I hear, when I've talked to a few women like that who prefer to keep their sexual organs, is they prefer to feel special like that. To them, they feel special, they feel different, because it's like the third gender, something that the Mayans and something that the Indians always talked about, the third gender.
Hijra are now a politically recognized third gender, a category of people whose identity is neither male nor female.
You know, because, you know, in real life, there's a such thing as intersexual. People are born with both sexes. So
Right.
for a lot of girls like that makes them feel special. And then, you know, I even heard them say, like, it's less competition because once you turn over, now you're in the world of a girl. And it's true. And I've experienced that as a woman. You know, you're going to be treated differently. You are expected. Oh my God, it's so much pressure as a woman. The world has so much pressure on you.
You ain't never lied.
You know, as a woman, we have to do so many things. We're looked at to have to do so many things, and we have to work so much harder. And I realize, you know, the world doesn't take them, you know, they can do whatever. Like, we know a few of them. They can do whatever. They can be raunchy. They can just do a lot, and the world doesn't expect a lot out of them. If I did certain things, the world is, oh, she's a slut. She's blah, blah, blah. She's looking down on, she shouldn't be doing that. It's so much pressure, you know, and it's exhausting. You know, it's really exhausting. And then, you know, the more you, when you transition over, and it's expensive being a woman.
Yes, it
You know,
is.
it's really expensive, y'all. Like, this stuff is not easy. So I find that for them, it's easier. And for me, like I said, they have less competition and they feel special. For me, I feel special in this body. But I get why they will, why they feel like that, you know?
So I'm going to revert a little bit back to the show.
Okay.
And you as an actress. How did the opportunity come up for you to become Imani on the show?
So I dipped my toe. I came out in 2018 because I was like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, it was a guy I was dating, and I had a role for Supergirl on the CW. It was a trans role, and I was like, am I gonna take this role? And I just came out to him. You know, we didn't date it and everything. You know, again, yes, I was that girl. And he was so supportive. He said, I think you should go for it. I think you should do it. And I was like scared because I'm like, it's so many people.
Your agent knew?
No one knew.
So how did you know about the role?
Because I ended up disclosing it to someone.
Oh, okay.
Someone in the agency knew, but my agent didn't know.
Got it.
So I then disclosed it to them, and they was like, well, why did you wait so long? There's so many roles you missed out on, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, well, so many roles I wouldn't have taken because I wasn't ready, you know? And that's another thing, you know, people, when you're ready, you're ready. Don't let anyone else tell you when you should be ready. It's a big step. And not everyone needs to know your business, to be honest. If you're comfortable in the skin you're in, wherever you're at in your life, live for you and not for other people. And then I, you know, disclosed it to my agent. I went out for Supergirl. I was this close to getting it, but it wasn't meant for me. And then I got another role. It was LA Finest. It was a guest star. I went out for that. I did that, and you know, and then I was getting calls like, okay, I don't know if I want to do this. I started getting calls from people asking, like, you know, why did you take this role? Like, won't that hurt your career? Like,
Oh, it was people from your past or friends that you
from
had.
my friends, and people were like, won't the LGBTQ community be upset that you're playing a trans role, and you know they're fighting for roles? And I even had a few.
Oh, they didn't realize that they thought you were a woman playing a trans woman.
Girl. The calls were coming in, and I was like, I don't know if I'm.
And you wasn't honest with them at first.
No, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this, you know. And then
How did you explain it to them? Like,
I was
what you
like, you know,
What'd you say?
I was role came, they said open to all. They said that you didn't have to be trans. You know, I was still lying and playing it off.
Oh my gosh.
I'm ridiculous. I know y'all. But I'm being honest. I'm 100% about it. I still wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable at that point in my life. And then eventually Imani came around from the Shy, and I was told about the role. I was like, I'm not doing that. I was about to like stop acting because I was starting to get a lot of trans roles that to me was demeaning. I will never do. Downright disrespectful. And I was like, I wouldn't dare. You can't pay me enough money to do this, you know. And, you know, because again, I came from a different world. I saw, you know, what it was like to be treated with respect, especially a woman of color who's trans, you know. We got a long fight ahead of us. So I was like, I'm not going to do that, you know. And then eventually, like a few days later, I eventually read the script. And I thought they would have gave the role away, to be honest, by then. I was like, wow, she reminds me so much of myself. She has a guy who loves her, who doesn't try to hide her. She's who she is. She doesn't really explain who the fuck she is. She doesn't care. You know, she's a boss. She lives by her own, you know, beat of her drums. And I was like, wow, like, did someone follow me around? You know, like, I can't believe I'm actually reading a script that I'm like, they actually respect this woman? That's shocking. You know, I was shocked. So I called my agent and I said, I want to do it. They're like, well, you got to audition for it. I said, I'm not worried. And I don't know what was in me that made me say that. I was like, I want to do this. And I sent in my tape. I got called in the next day. Then the producers, oh my God, I can't speak right in session. The next thing I know, within 2 weeks, I'm flying out to Chicago.
Oh, wow.
It happened fast. My life changed really fast. I was like, what is going on?
So
be careful what you ask for.
So at that point, everybody who knew you has seen the show, I would assume.
Not yet, because we filmed it in 2019.
Right.
The show didn't come out until 2020.
So did you tell all your friends before the show came out?
Most of my friends I wasn't friends with anymore. It's funny. You would think that more girls would be more supportive, but most of my guy friends were the ones that was mostly supportive.
Did you have anybody that can't call you from your past, anybody that you dated, any of your ex-boyfriend's family members?
Oh yeah. It's funny that even my best friend Andrea is still getting calls today.
Really?
Because we, you know, grew up in Chicago and we would date guys. She knew, and you know, and the guys didn't know if I'm dating a friend. They would call her like, we did not know Jasmine was transgender. You know,
right.
You know, like
right.
We did not know that, you know. Again, no one was really pissed about it. And I was like, I don't know what, I must have did something right in life. My guys are watching over me. Because at the end of the day, this is how I say it is. Men lie about so much stuff all the time. They lie and they cheat. I've been cheated on. We all know that men can put us through some BS. But why do they, you know, why do society put this picture around like, oh, that's so bad, you didn't tell that person? Well, naturally, that person was attracted to that person. Regardless of what you say, that person was attracted to that person. And if they're not attracted to them because they find out something about them, it's either because society has deemed that to be unacceptable. Because nature speaks for itself. If you're naturally attracted to someone, you can't deny nature, regardless of what your religion is or what your belief is. Nature is facts. So
You never felt bad about, I guess, necessarily the quote-unquote consequences that the guy probably has gone through. And what I mean by that is, say for instance, if a man who has deemed himself straight, super straight, whatever, you know, dated you in the past or whatever, and now that the world is more so knowing that, oh, okay, you're a trans woman, so now his family, his friends, automatically now they are saying that he is, because we do know, even though you are a woman, society, some parts of society, let me just say that,
the ignorant parts,
they still aren't as, you know, accepting.
Yeah.
And so possibly some people be like, oh, okay, so does that make him gay now?
Yeah, gay or bi, whatever the label they want
bi,
to put
whatever
on
they
people.
want to put on,
I would say, for me, there's no good or bad when it comes to certain things, and that's up to you as a human to decide what you want people to make you feel like. I will feel bad that that person is hurting in general, you know, if I purposely tried to hurt someone, which I never set out to purposely try to hurt someone. I was just living my life and living my truth. And the truth of the matter is, you were attracted to a human being, which is me. And it was a lot of things about them I probably didn't know, and it was a lot of things I did not know, and I found out about them. And you know, luckily it wasn't horrible things about them. It was some things that was kind of fucked up, like, damn, you didn't tell me you were married, or you didn't tell me you had a girl, or, you know. And you find out certain things. For me, I guess my perspective of life came from that. It's like, it's not really, I guess, it's not good or bad. It just is what it is. You didn't tell me this, I didn't tell you that. So it's not really a tit for tat, but you know.
It's like, oh well.
Yeah. So to anyone out there, just know that I've never tried to deliberately harm you, and hopefully you're an intelligent human being to not let people put labels on you or make you feel bad for who you are, that you were attracted to another beautiful human being. So
Yeah, because you are a beautiful woman.
thank you. You are too, sis.
Like, your skin is amazing, honey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're glowing. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. So let's just talk about politics.
Oh, God. Candy's really bringing it. Okay, go ahead.
So in politics right
The
now,
Olympic champion and one of the most well-known voices in the trans community, one of the highest profile trans Americans, says she opposes trans girls playing on girls' sports teams.
right?
Oh, I'm about to get in some trouble on this. Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to get you in trouble,
No,
but I'm just
I
curious
really
to
wanna-
know your opinion.
I really want to answer it. First of all, I want to say this as a whole. When it comes to being transgender and wanting to take that step, I say, as far as protecting our children, this is coming from someone who wants to be a future mom. I won't let my kids be on hormones until they are over 18. You know, that's just me. You know, I think you should, if you want to dress like you want to dress, if you want to live in your feminine body, there you can totally do that instead of giving our kids drugs. We should focus more on mental health and teach them to love themselves. So when they're ready to take that step at a certain age after 18, they're already in the mindset that they love themselves and not just giving them drugs. And when it comes to playing a sport, and people may disagree with me and everyone has their own opinion, just being as a woman and having just having a vagina in general, I just know the difference in strength. I know that now I have to work out. If I don't work out, I won't have certain muscle tones. I won't have certain strength, and I don't have certain strength that I probably used to have. So I would say if that child has transitioned fully, I think they should be allowed after 3 years after they fully transition. But if you still have the
You say after 3 years?
yeah, of transitioning. You know, so a lot of things.
What age do people start transitioning?
Some people now transitioning very early, which again, I wouldn't let my kids do it because I would want them to be of an age to before they get on hormones or have an operation like that. But that goes back to surgery in general. Like even if you're a cis woman and you're my daughter and you wanted breast implants, I will not let you do that. I wouldn't even let you be on birth controls because I don't want your system to be messed up.
Child, I don't agree with that now.
You know, no, I totally get, but I'm saying,
Young girls need to have birth control early.
But I get it, you know. But I also get that. In fact, you shouldn't tell someone what to do with their body. I think you should respect someone else's choices, you know. Like, but I totally agree with you that. But if your child is having sex and she does really. And she don't want to be pregnant, you know, and, you know, that's a whole nother story.
So you're saying, to your experience,
Yeah.
you're saying that after fully transitioning with hormones, you're saying you feel like physically...
I said if you had a sex change, and I feel like it should be deemed appropriate, you have a different organ. Your organ is the same as girls, but if you have the same organ as a male, even though your gender is a female, you still have probably certain advantages. You know, that...
My thing is it really about the organs, though? Isn't it more so about the physical strength? I thought that's what what Caitlin was referring to. Because, I mean, let's be for real. How many gold medals she got as a male when she was in her male body or whatever? I guess in her mind, she's like, even as the transition Caitlin, she knows that she will whoop a cisgender woman in any sport.
Yeah.
I think she feels that way. And I understand what she was saying. So that's why I was just kind of curious because everybody like has different opinions on it, you know, because I mean, obviously you want your children to be happy, and you don't want your child to feel attacked.
Yeah.
Nobody wants their child to feel attacked.
Exactly.
And I think that's the main thing. You know, if you are, supporting your child in their transition, and if you're doing it early, because some people,
a lot of people now are doing it early. I say support your child as much as you can. I just feel like we just got to be careful because we are loading kids up with drugs, whether it's mental health drugs, depression drugs, and hormone, because it changes you. It changes you, and some things you will never get back. So yeah, it's like, I think you should be supportive, but at the same time, I get where some people's like, if they have the same organ as that person, then it's fine, versus like in Florida, the governor, someone said that someone the same sex or something on the birth certificate
Right, but people change their birth certificates all the time. So how does that matter?
Well, you can't legally change your birth certificate to say male or female if you haven't had the surgery by law.
The surgery determines if you can change your birth certificate?
With your sex, because your gender and your sex is two different things. Gender is if you identify with, say for instance, if I just identify just as being a woman, but my sex is still a male. My gender is still, my gender is female, but my sex is technically would have been a male,
Oh.
So I think that's
you
why.
You just taught me something because I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't know that. That's why I think some people are fighting and I think some people don't.
So how does that work for some trans women who basically, for the main purpose of walking down the street, they look, I would say that's a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to necessarily know what she has
between
her legs.
Yeah.
That's why my question would be, how does that determine your sex? On your birth certificate, meaning, or your license.
Yeah, because your sex is determined by your organ, what you have between your legs.
And I get what you're saying, and that makes total sense. But to me, then that seems like that would create a real issue or problem for someone who doesn't necessarily want to take the full transition.
And that's why we're having that conversation, because it is having a big problem. Because someone who want to play a certain sport or don't want to have the full transition, and I think it's horrible to want to force people. Like some people in other countries can't be gay, they have to have a sex change or they're going to get killed or go to jail. And some people are gay, they don't want to be a transgender,
Right.
So it is creating a problem, and it's a solution we have to come up with, because some girls are feeling like, I have a vagina and I got to play with someone who has testicles, which even if they're having hormone blockers or whatever, what strengths do they still have over me?
Right.
We really got to have that conversation, because if we're going to play sports, and it has to be a fair sport, and everyone has to have the same amount of, unless you're working out, if you have that edge over someone because of your sexual organ, it can be looked at as maybe is a little unfair,
Right.
versus, someone who has a vagina, or vice versa, which men don't care though. Like you can be a transsexual male and have a vagina. They don't care.
As we said earlier, it's a constant education for the society as a whole.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the show.
Yes.
So when you realized that Luke James was going to be your partner in crime on the show, or your partner, your mate, your for life on the show, did you know of Luke James prior?
I did not.
Oh, you did?
I had no idea who he was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my mom apparently knew who he was, and some other people in my family. I had no idea who the guy was, and we met briefly in a fitting, and I had my dog back then, and he passed by, and I was like, oh, so this is the guy I'm acting with, and I Googled him. I was like, wait a minute, I just saw him in a movie a year ago, in this movie called Little. I'm like, oh, it's this guy. And then someone was like, he was on Star, which I really haven't seen. I saw a couple of episodes. So I did not know who he was at all.
So was it natural flow from the beginning? Did it take y'all a minute to get used to each other?
I would say it was natural. I'm a professional, and I'm used to being in acting classes where you're teamed up with random people and played love interests. So I think that practice helped me, like I'm here to tell a story. So I was always a, kind of a professional girl when it comes to that. So it's easy for me, if I like my character, to, especially if my character's partner is loving to, so it's easy to portray that for me.
I have to say, last season, when Imani first came on board on the show, I didn't really feel like they really dug into the fact that you were a trans woman.
Yeah.
It was the episode when you guys went into the club. Which almost was like the Crying Game a little bit. Remember the movie when you never even realized what was going on until they went to the club or whatever? A lot of people, if they didn't see that part, they wouldn't have known. You know what I mean? So did you find that to be interesting that obviously they requested a trans woman to be, to play the part, but that they really didn't touch on the topic as much?
I actually love that part. I love that we didn't dwell on that so much, and we glanced on it a little bit. We glanced on it twice. One when she talked about when she had to kill her father when her father attacked her after finding out when she was dressing up.
Oh, okay. Right.
But I like that we let people fall in love with her as a human and a universal love story versus so much focusing on her being trans, because her character doesn't just live as a trans woman, you know? She lives as the Imani. She don't really talk about it. And again, it was like, wow, this is so surreal, because I'm like that in real life. I don't really you will only hear me talk about this stuff like in an interview or something like that, but my everyday life is like an everyday person I have, thinking about, what I'm about to succeed in, what I'm about to do, who I'm, dating and things of that nature. So I love that part, that they didn't, drag out this whole story and make it some big drama thing. They made it very much like, oh, she happened to be trans. And I was like, I love it. That was perfect for me, because I'm like, the world needs to start looking at girls like me like that. Like, oh, she just happened to be trans.
Right. Which, I think I get that part of it. I do think that was a good thing, that it's just, just made it, okay, this is just a relationship, and like you said, you just so happen to be trans. The one thing that I did feel, and that I feel the same, and not just about you and Trig, but I feel the same way about my character, Rosalind and Duda. I feel like I want to know more of the backstory.
That I do.
I want to know, how did Imani and Trig get together? We know that Trig had been in prison. Did y'all date before he went to jail? Did y'all meet after you get out of jail? What? How did y'all get together? What was it?
No idea.
You get what I'm?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And till this day, I've asked that question: how did they meet? I had to create a whole story in my head to create a world to fall in love with my character, because I don't know how we met. I don't know where we met. Like you said, I don't know if we met, during he was in prison or after prison or before prison. I have no idea. It would be beautiful if they can shed some light and go back and
going back in time. Tell me something. Give me some more information.
It gives Showtime. That's a beauty part about this show. It gives them so much room to do things like that.
So I'm looking forward to finding out how y'all got together in the first damn place.
You and me too. For all the viewers, I'm with y'all. I'm right with y'all. I'm really curious.
When we find out, we will speak on it.
We totally.
Yes.
After you said the role that you got, how do you feel, since it was so nonchalant of introducing the relationship, how do you feel the people online really took it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was, to be honest, it was hard at first before people saw the show.
Really?
It was hard for me. I think I went through a lot of things mentally because I was getting attacked online. And,
really?
Yeah, I was erasing stuff constantly before it can stay on there. It was brutal. I was getting hate mail. I had to change my number.
What?
It was bad. It wasn't all glamour. It was so bad. I was questioning, why did I do this? Yeah, and then the pandemic happened. So upon that, I'm coming out in a world where the world is changing. And everyone was like, oh my God, you're on this TV show. And it was not my happiest time in my life, because it's like I didn't care about any of that. Like, I'm in a horrible state. The world is flipped upside down. And now I'm so vulnerable. Everyone knows about me while we're in this chaotic state. There's riots going on. There's protests going on. And people are thinking like, oh my God, you're out. Are you happy? No, I'm actually the most depressed I've ever been in my life. And I never really battled with depression. Until this day, I'm still dealing with a little PTSD and anxiety. It was bad. Like, if it wasn't for Lena Waithe, like, she really helped me out, because I wasn't planning on coming back.
Are you serious?
It was
that bad?
Dealing with the world, I think people forget that we're human beings. Like, I came out in a time where the world went upside down. And I was staying in Hollywood, helicopters almost every day, riots and,
last year.
It was too much that I'm like, I will not want to experience that ever again. I'm so glad I got through it. I'm so glad that, you know, I'm here, but it was bad. I'm just now starting to enjoy it. Now starting to enjoy it. No, I didn't enjoy it at all. And when it first aired, I just wanted it to be over, to be honest. I was pretending to like be happy, but I was not in a very happy place for those of you people out there who, you know, so.
Dang, I did not know you were going through that.
No one knew. No, even some of my family did not know.
Oh.
You know, I didn't want anyone to know because I'm the one in my family and certain friends who people come to for advice and things of that nature. So, you know, I didn't want anyone to know I was at my lowest point in my life. So, you know, I didn't care about anything fame related. I will only do interviews because I felt like, you know, I'm going to do it for the show and, you know, help out, you know, the show. But I could honestly could have cared less.
Dang,
Yeah.
I did not know that was going on. And for those of you who have never met Jasmine, she's like bubbly. Hey! So I'm just like shocked right now. I did not know you were going through all
My
that.
mom, my sister, no, my best friend. My best friend came to visit me when something else tragic happened, and you know, she's like, "That's it, I'm coming to see you." My sister came down to see me during the pandemic because they knew I was like at my lowest point. I was like, you know, I just if I could have left the country, I would have left. You know, it was bad because I'm in a pandemic by myself, no friends, no family. None of my closest friends were there. I had to deal with all of that on my own. Then I have health issues, some IBS issues. It was just things on top of things. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? You know, what is going on? You know, but it was a lesson. I feel like, you know, God was putting me through the lesson to show me exactly how strong I really am. That I did not know that I was that strong to get through all those things that I was like, this is so overwhelming. I did not know how I was going to make it through. Yeah, so it was no bubbly Jasmine. It was not.
Wow.
But as they say, I'm here, I'm queer. I'm ready to cheer.
You are hilarious.
I'm here, but yeah, so I'm really grateful and thankful that, you know, for the support I had.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, dang, Jasmine, I'm glad you came back.
Me too. It was tough. It was tough though. Yeah, so for anyone out there, you may see someone on TV or whatever, just, you know, sometimes you may think that we have it all together, and a lot of us are going through a lot of things just like everyone else. We're human just like everyone else. You know?
I totally agree with you. I was just saying that the other day when I was breaking down in tears about something myself. So
Yeah,
I feel you.
We go through things, you know.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I actually can't believe I shared that. So y'all called me very raw and candy.
Yeah. You have been very raw this whole entire interview.
I have.
And I appreciate it.
Like in some of my interviews I did recently, I have not been. So people gonna be like, you didn't tell us that. So you got to open up a can of people asking questions. I'm grateful though, because I feel safe because I know her.
Well, it's all good. You are safe. This is a safe space.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So tell us what else you got coming up now. What's happening with you, and what are you looking forward to?
So I'm about to go upstairs and write right now. I'm rapping and singing. I'm a little pop singer now.
What?
Yes, I have some stuff coming out. I have 4 of the songs of my EP already made.
Oh, that's dope.
And I have 2 other songs I'm about to get in the studio Sunday to do. Yes, I have music coming out. I'm going back to modeling. I had my first photo shoot of the year Sunday. And these pictures are epic. I can't wait for y'all to see. I forgot what I look like. You know, dressed up and down because I'm so used to wearing stuff like this, so I'm used to wearing workout clothes and I barely wear makeup, you know. I'm not used to getting back into the swing of things, you know. The pandemic took me for a loop, you know, hopefully get on some covers. And I have another TV show coming out. It's comedy. It's called Never Have I Ever on Netflix. And I'm waiting for them to announce the official date. It's in July. I just don't know the official date yet.
Oh, well, we will definitely be watching and supporting you. Is there anything else I need to ask you before I let her go? Because now I feel like, okay, we talked about politics. We talked about your thoughts of your dating in the past. Question, I mean, you know, currently,
This is
are
starting to
you
come
dating?
up a lot. Currently right now, I'm not. I'm actually celibate by choice because I'm taking some time out for myself, for growth and to get to know myself, and because I'm not the same girl I used to be. Obviously, I matured so much during everything I've been through. Right now, I'm just not interested in dating anyone. I, want friends, but my next relationship, we will have to be friends first for a minute. Yeah, to get to know each other. But right now, I'm just, taking it easy. So for anyone out there who's been asking, it's not you, it's actually me. I'm just not there yet, so.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me to speak on it. This has been an eye-opener for me as well. I felt like I learned a lot in this conversation, but like I said, as a society, we need to constantly be educating ourselves so that, we can just show love and not care about other people's business and just live with love, lead with love.
I want to say thank you for having me. I appreciate you, and I totally agree with Candy. I feel like if more people are in love, you have less time to spend minding someone else's business.
True that. Well, thank you for watching. Speak on it.
Adios.
I had already heard.
I can turn a shade tree into a money tree. That was good.
Yes, girl, you got me really candid.